All right, get in here. It is a day where we talk about the big stories of the week, and this week, it's the big one. Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning is out. Allegedly, the last movie in this gigantic franchise, but Tom Cruise doesn't age or die, so I refuse to accept that. The group chat has seen it. They have thoughts. You know the drill. Let's go. I'm Elamin Abdelmahmoud, and this is Commotion, and you can understand why we have to start right here. Look, technically I know that other movies exist or whatever, but that is not my business. Because at long last, the anticipated biggest movie of the summer, biggest movie of the year, is out. Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Teri Hart is here. Eli Glasner is here. Rebecca Jennings is here. Welcome to Commotion, y'all. How's it going?
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello. We are gonna get into it. Teri, you were doing a little dance there as the theme was playing. But I also know you have feelings about this movie. Get into it. What did you think of The Final Reckoning?
Both are true statements.
Okay.
I'll say this. I'm going to start with this breaks my heart.
Oh, no.
But I'm going to borrow an Elamin word.
Okay.
Phew.
Okay.
It's just not good.
Oh, wow.
And its biggest fault is that I think it forgets what the franchise is all about, which is fun. There is nothing fun about this movie. Ethan Hunt is not a superhero. He and his team are a group of ingenious people who figure things out, and we watch them figure it out, and that's fun to do. And they smile and they wink, and we know what they're doing, and they know we're having a good time watching them. So, if he's 5 miles under the Bering Sea and he takes off his wetsuit, he's gonna die. And spoiler alert, he doesn't.
But
and
he's
so
Tom Cruise.
Right. But he, from a production standpoint, they have 5 different scenes of that. We have 90 seconds and then we're going to explode, and then the scene goes on for 5 minutes. Just make the countdown clock 5 minutes, people. There is no trust between the movie and the audience, so nothing is actually at jeopardy. And there's this underwater sequence that I think is interminable. I just think it never ends. And he defies every law of physics in it. And every time I thought we were going to go somewhere in the story, the movie was going to take off, we were all bouncing to that theme song. Yeah. Do, 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 do. It would do a flashback and take me way out of the action that I was getting involved in. And let me tell you, I love this franchise.
Yeah.
But the weight of everything you just said and what Eli said, but it's Tom Cruise, but he saves the box office. But I think that, and is this the final one? I think the weight of all of that might just have been too heavy for even the biggest movie star in the world. And let me tell you, I started my career in 1996.
That's the first one.
That's the year that I followed this franchise.
That's the first franchise, yeah.
I could shed a tear at how disappointed I was watching this one, because it's been my career. This franchise has been, between this and Harry Potter, this one has been my career.
I do hate how definitive you were. You're just not good. I do, because I'd like to believe in magic, Teri, but I'm going to come back to that in just a second. Eli, the idea that this movie is weighted by the legacy of the franchise itself. 8 movies, bajillions of dollars made. That's interesting to me. So walk me through the franchise and then arriving at this moment in the franchise.
The problem with this film is that it takes itself so seriously. And when Mission Impossible started, let's remember, this was a remake of a kind of wacky TV show where people had disguises. And the main gambit when the Mission Impossible movie started with Cruise was they had masks on. So I'm bring a hood. Oh no, it's, oh my God, it's Ethan Hunt. That was the thing. And that was fine. That was nice. And it was basically an off-brand James Bond. Okay, Bond's got that thing covered. Yeah. He's suave, he's we don't have that. We're going to get Cruise, he's going to run around, things are going to explode, he's going to get his gang of friends, kind of American A-team covert action. Yeah. And it was fine. They added Benji, they added kind of his group, he had gang of friends, and it was just fun.
But it got bigger.
But then it got bigger, and I think the problem is it got to this point where they didn't remember what we enjoyed about it. it wasn't an event when Mission Impossible movies started, but it was fun. Like, oh yeah, it's in between the various Bond films. Check out a Mission Impossible, and it was a good time. But now they take it's so reverential.
He's carrying the box office on his back, Eli.
But he's not. But the problem of the film is that it treats it like he is.
Yeah.
And like this is the most important thing in the world. And even the plot now is so nonsensical that there's no enjoyment anymore. And the problem is they assume that we have a level of interest and knowledge of the franchise. Like there's a bad guy, Gabriel. I can barely remember his backstory. They're doing all these callbacks.
I don't want continuity. Like,
No.
I don't, like, please. This is Mission Impossible.
I didn't do my Mission Impossible homework.
No.
I just went in kind of blind, and they're pulling all these things. Like I didn't study at Mission Impossible school.
No one
I don't
did.
remember. The movies are all convoluted on their own, and now to try and weave together like 20 years of all of these shenanigans, talking about weight, like there's so much gravitas. It's like we're on Jupiter. It is so solemn. It is so reverential.
Rebecca, we come to this place for magic. You know, we come to this place. I mean, there's something to be said about the escalating scale of the Mission Impossible movies. Sure, in 1996, I was like, okay, this is a bit wacky and like a bit sort of A-team situation. But then eventually Tom Cruise was like, we are going to jump off a train that is suspended off a plane off the side of a cliff, and somewhere in there there'll be a motorcycle. There's something to be said about how they just kept kind of daring themselves to sort of like, you know, go higher and higher and higher. And the gambit was, this will be a good time at the movies. You're not going to remember the plot. You don't need to remember who Gabriel is, but you will remember the stunts. You'll remember sort of like the thing as an event. For you, as you were sort of like walking and be like, I'm saying goodbye to this universe, did you feel the weight of that watching this movie?
Well, I think the movie really wants you to feel the weight of that. Like, as both of them just said, it's like the first hour is mostly flashbacks or flash forwards. And it's like the point of a Mission Impossible movie is you go into the theater and then it all completely erases from your brain the moment you leave.
The minute you leave, it's gone. Yeah.
And that's why I love Mission Impossible. But you know, even though the movie was like so divorced from reality in any like stake sense, and it had to keep reminding you about what the timing was, but it's like, oh, that's not really the time. I think, you know what? I think because this one was so weighed down by the myth of Mission Impossible, which no one really cares about it. It's not like a Marvel. It's not a Marvel movie. It's not a Harry Potter movie. It's like you don't have to watch the previous ones to get it.
Yeah.
But I think if they're calling this the final one, then great. Wipe the slate clean. Start a new thing with the same name, but don't make us care about Gabriel and Tom Cruise's 75 love interests over 30 years. Like the way that they kept flashing back to these various women that Tom Cruise has kissed. I'm like, who was that?
Well, the whole thing was that he was trying to protect his wife at the end of the first one, which is why he could never go. You guys don't remember that? That's crazy to me. That's the only thing I remember of Mission Impossible. Okay.
The fact that he had a wife. I'm like, what? This is you just insert some brunette lady that's like his love interest. I think watching movie stars do crazy stunts, that will never get old, and that's so but you don't need the Entity and Gabriel and the Wives to do that.
Yeah. The Entity and Gabriel and the Wives sounds like a great sequel, by the way. Just if any executive is listening, Terry, we do talk about this franchise as sort of in the same league as James Bond now. That's not a small thing, actually, because it's kind of like, oh, maybe this will work, maybe it won't, and then it sort of elevated itself to that level. It could theoretically keep going for another 20 years or so. Do you think this is the last one? Do you think they're like, okay, we're going to take a break here?
I mean, it's what we say all the time on this show. It's show business, right? So how much money is this one going to make? Is there still an appetite for it? Yeah. I think the difference that what James Bond did as a franchise versus Mission Impossible is Tom Cruise became Ethan Hunt. Tom Cruise became synonymous. Whereas with Bond, they've always changed it around. And Eli reminding us that this comes out of a TV show from the 60s. So in 1996, when the first Mission Impossible happened, those people who grew up in the 1966 TV show had kids to bring to Mission Impossible. Yeah. You think now the kids who started going to a movie in 1996, the first Mission Impossible, they have kids now.
Yeah. So multiple generational audience of Mission Mission Impossible.
So that's where we're at, right? We're at a demographic game.
Daddy, what was Ethan like when you were young?
He was fun.
Yeah,
That's what I would
exactly.
say. He was
He
fun
used to
when I
make
was
He
young.
wasn't so
son.
miserable about
He
things. Yes.
used to rip his face off in a way cooler way. And he didn't. There's actually a scene in this where, and I don't want to spoil anything, but Ethan Hunt sees shepherds. He's greeted by shepherds. Like, we have not talked. I'm not making this up. Like, we have not talked about the God complex that is in this
He's
movie.
carrying a special key in the shape of a cross.
What do you mean?
He is.
Oh, no.
When
I
I
was
say
ready to
that-
defend this movie.
when I
Now I'm
say
like,
this
okay.
movie
yeah.
has a savior complex, and we
Yeah.
know who the savior is, and the thing
And we know what he's saving.
And Cruise, for the last
we?
5 or 10 years, has only put himself in films where he is the best of everyone, and only he can save the world.
Right.
And
Singularly.
yeah.
Well, that's why I'm saying we know who he's saving, because what he's saving is the movie business. And the context all the time that we talk about is that, like, is he quote unquote the last movie star? He's not, but he's certainly the last of a generation of movie stars.
We
It's sort
treat
of like,
him
you know?
like he is, but he's not.
Oh,
and I
okay.
think actually.
How long is that list of names? Go ahead.
Michael B. Jordan.
Okay, that's one.
Well, we can't. I mean,
Fine. But let me just ask you.
The problem is that the way that Cruise has defined his movie stardom of late is just these extreme physical feats. He somehow decided in the last decade to stop acting and just be the best of us. And usually it's by endurance, it's by physicality. He's going to hold his breath. He's going to hang on to planes. And like, you can go back, Magnolia, Vanilla Sky, Risky Business, Color of Money. He used to have charm. He used to have charisma. He used to have comedic timing.
He's a very funny guy.
He is an amazing actor when he chooses to be, but he has stopped acting. He just is enduring. He is just trying to show us that he is the best. You know, capital T, capital B. And so is he the last movie star? He's a movie star of a kind. He's become an action star, but he has almost become a caricature of himself, and that's a disservice to the other talents which he has that he has chosen not to exploit.
Rebecca, I'm sensitive to the idea that Tom Cruise is sort of insisting upon himself to a certain degree. Like the idea of him being like, I am the last of this. I have to sort of preserve this kind of legacy, this way of being in the world. And it is exhausting. It sounds like this movie is maybe the apex of that exhaustion. But also, isn't there something to the idea that there isn't a new generation yet? Maybe there's a Glenn Powell waiting in the wings. You know, maybe there's a Michael B. Jordan waiting in the wings. But do we still have the same machinery that in place to sort of elevate those people to the same places that we elevated the Tom Cruises of the world? I keep regularly, being like, I'm not so sure that that same machinery still exists, which is maybe why he thinks of himself as a savior. But I don't know if that's earned or not. What do you think, Rebecca?
Yeah, no, I know. I think like everything you're saying makes so much sense, but also that it's such a good marketing tactic. If you think that Tom Cruise is the last movie star, you want to go see the movies because it feels like something's being taken away from you. And so I do think that like part of that is maybe feels a little bit true. I mean, I watched The Studio, which is kind of all about this. But at the same time, it's like, but it makes you want to go back. It makes you feel nostalgic for movie theaters and a way to get you to spend $25 because that's what it costs now to go to the movies.
Yeah.
But I also agree. It's like you see celebrities now often talk about how they don't get cast in things unless they have XYZ number of Instagram followers. And we all know that like being a movie star and being an actor is so dissimilar from being good at social media. And you see it in the same way too. It's like they try to cast influencers and things. That's a completely different level of charisma and humanness. Like people that are influencers are good at, presenting themselves, directing themselves. They're not good at like embodying a character as part of a whole machine. And like, as that machine is kind of crumbling, like as the Hollywood industry is sort of, in this weird place, that's just less of a way to become a Tom Cruise. And so, yeah, I think he's a little bit right, but also it's a little bit marketing.
And if you look at the previous generation of movie stars, like Emma Stone, Brad Pitt, George Clooney, Michael B. Jordan, they were able to do different kind of projects so they could fill out the resume. And I think that helped build our idea of what they were and what they were capable of. It wasn't just someone trying to become the next Jason Statham.
Yeah.
Yeah, that does sound like a more grim world. Terry, you were about to add something, but then I could just you don't have to.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with what Eli is saying.
Okay.
and Rebecca's saying about he has become just this one thing. And if it's not through the Top Gun franchise, it's also through the Mission Impossible franchise. And where is the Magnolia? Where is Tom Cruise? I mean, the fact that people are talking about, the first Stunt Academy Award being given to Tom Cruise, that's a problem for him as an actor, I think. I don't think that that's where he wants to be. Or maybe it is, and that disappoints me as much as Dead Reckoning.
If folks are just joining us, my name is Elamin Abdelmahmoud, and this is Commotion, and they are sticking the knife into Tom Cruise. Eli Glasner is here, Teri Hart is here, Rebecca Jennings is here. I want to talk about the story that has been all over my feeds for the past week, which is the Chicago Sun-Times just published their summer reading guide. It's interesting. They are like, hey, here are some books that you should read this summer. Except here's the thing. 10 out of the 15 books on the list don't exist. They're just not real. The authors were real. The titles were not. The list was generated by some kind of freelancer who admitted that they used AI to help write the future. The content production company says, you know what? That's in violation of the policies that we have in place. I tend to think that many failures have happened along the chain in order for us to get this list. Rebecca, what do you make of this? The idea of what does this story signal to you about the newspaper industry and the media industry right now?
That it's bad. No. But,
Great.
But no,
Perfect.
It's like yeah, done. No, I think the fact that this is now something that editors have to be aware of, that like a writer that they hired to make a list of summer recommendations is just entirely fake, is just so beyond the kind of editorial judgment that you would have to have as an editor anytime pre 2 years ago. Right. And so to me, this is an example of newsrooms being completely decimated. And maybe there's one editor to do like an entire magazine or something. Like seriously, that some magazines have staff of like 1 or 2 or 3 people. And so when you hire out, someone on contract to like supplement your magazine with a couple pages, you're like, okay, great, we don't have to worry about that. But it's like, apparently now you do. And so it just stretches the job of an editor, which has already been stretched so thin, even thinner. And it's just like, the fact that this is where we're at is just such a bleak indictment on, everything about this job. And like, as someone who I used to have jobs like writing recommendations, and we took that very seriously. It's like, there were rules. Yeah. We couldn't call everything a must see or a must read. Like we took that stuff very seriously. Yeah. It's like, this has an editorial judgment, and AI obviously has none of that. And so it's just everything is getting worse. It decreases our ability to trust each other. Call back to the entity in Mission Impossible. But yeah, it's just too bad. AI is bad at news, and I don't think it's going to be good anytime soon. And so maybe let's keep it out.
Even in whatever universe where you think the AI might get better at this, it's like it's not there yet. So the idea that you would not have policies in place to guard against this very thing truly boggles the mind. Eli, one of the best titles on this list is The Last Algorithm by Andy Weir.
Very excited to read that.
Well, here's the thing. It's a book about an AI system that develops consciousness, which means that an AI created a fake book about an AI that's maybe a little nefarious and dark. What's the takeaway from that, pal?
Is the AI trying to tell us something? Like, it's so... I mean, that's the most dystopian of it all. Like, on a list of fake books, the AI decided to create a somewhat conceivable book by Andy. Like, honestly, I was kind of fooled. I scanned the list when it came out. I didn't know Andy Weir had a new book. And, I was ready to Google that title to put it on a list till I realized it was fake. But the fact that the AI prompt was writing that prompt and filling in a story about AI run amok is like, how many red flags do we need? How many red flags do we need? But look, I work in a newsroom where nothing goes to air without 2 people looking at it and hopefully actually vetting it and checking it for accuracy. And so this is what Rebecca's talking about. That system has fallen down. We are supposed to have safeguards in place. And when you don't, that's when you get must-see list of books that don't actually exist.
Teri, listen, you've been an entertainment journalist for a long time. And part of being an entertainment journalist is saying, I have looked at the material and I've come to you with some recommendations. That is informed by the expertise that you have in assessing the work. You are a critic, you are an evaluator, and also you've talked to some of the people who are involved in doing this. Something happens in the brains of people who run certain newsrooms where they go, oh, that's a place where I can cut some corners. That's a place where I can cut some costs, and maybe AI can help with this kind of process. What do we lose when we begin to say, you know what, part of this can be done by AI?
We lose that. We lose that human element, right? We lose that editorial judgment. We lose that history of a person sitting in dark rooms and watching movies and being able to put them up against each other in some way and look at them individually as well. I was really fascinated by the fact of when they were reporting on this story, they have created a word for the errors that AI makes. And it's not just wrong. It's not just a mistake. It's a hallucination. And that blew my mind. Like, we're creating a different language. And like, doesn't hallucination sound kind of like nice? Like, doesn't it sound like, no, it's objectively wrong. And the problem is, and I think that, Rebecca said this and Eli said this, AI is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. People are going to be using it. And people are also using it because they're taxed. There are no full-time jobs. People are freelancing, a piecemeal, creating careers, creating a living from piecemealing a million different things. So they are using AI, and companies, the only people who can catch those hallucinations, mistakes, people, they're not hallucinations, is other human beings. And that means companies have to invest in human beings to catch these mistakes. And I don't see that happening. And what it really is doing, and I think we've all alluded to this, I'm just going to say it, is it's eroding that trust once again between media and people. It's eroding that trust between mainstream media. I mean, this happened in the Chicago Sun-Times. This wasn't a blogger. It
wasn't a random blog.
And I think that this is a bigger challenge to how we are telling. And, we can say, oh, it's a list of books that are made up. Doesn't matter. If this has happened here, it's happened elsewhere. And if it's not happened elsewhere yet, this is certainly the canary in the coal mine.
You look at the list of names in terms of like the sort of authors that were like, hey, here's a made up book. Like, they're not random authors. They're authors that people are invested in. Like, the idea that like you read that book and go like, oh, I'm excited about a new Isabel Allende book, and then like suddenly it's like, oh, that doesn't exist. That's entirely hallucinated by some kind of AI. I'm worried about this. I'm worried about this in ways I'm like, I don't think we have enough time to get into. So what I want to do before I let you guys go is just go through all of you and get a little recommendation from you. Something to start my weekend. Something to, what should I be listening to or watching or reading? Eli, why don't I begin with you, pal?
I'm pulling up my reading app.
Okay, I love because you I wrote it down.
I am reading Orbital, which is
Samantha Harvey.
Yeah.
I haven't started it yet, but I have it out from the library app. Go ahead.
And it's a series of connected shorts set on a space station.
Whoa.
And it's just the various astronauts, and it's really beautiful the way they connected. Like, they become each other's family, and they're all sorts of differences, Americans, Russians, etc. And there's just these different vignettes, but it's all contained in that contained space, and how they're literally kind of bumping up against each other, but also that remarkable perspective that they have. I'm a sucker for anything in space, so that was what piqued my interest. But it's been a beautiful book so far.
But not Tom Cruise in space, I'll tell you that. Okay, Rebecca Jennings, what's your recommendation, pal? What do you got?
Yeah, so one of my favorite artists right now is Pink Pantheress, and she just released an album. She's so cool. I think she's just like, she's really young, but also her music sounds so nostalgic. It's very 90s and Y2K inspired, but it also kind of sounds like the future of pop music. In a way, I just like, she's so like angelic and delicate, but also like really fun beats to like dance to. She has such a cool vibe. I'm obsessed with her. So love her new album.
Just wanted to let you know that when you said it's very nostalgic, sounds like Y2K. My bones turned to dust. Thank you for that. Teri Hart, I got about 30 seconds here, pal. What recommendation do you have?
Forever on Netflix.
Okay, tell me about it.
I just love it so much.
Judy Blume.
Judy Blume.
Yes.
I mean, we'll remember that Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret was one of my favorite movies of that year, whatever year that was.
Yeah.
Michael Cooper Jr. and Lovie Simone play the two love interests, teenagers, Justin and Keisha. It's really, really well acted. It's an adaptation of the Judy Blume book, If You Know, You Know, and it is contemporary, set in 2018, 2019. And the performances between these teenagers teenagers and their parents and what they're struggling with and trying to figure out is not dire. They're not bad. They're not. It's just really, really well written, well acted. It's renewed for a second season. I can't wait for it. They're all revelations, and we get to see another performance by the spectacular Karen Pittman, who you'll recognize from the morning show.
Yeah, CBC's Amanda Paris has been trying to like already start the Oscar campaign, the Emmy campaign for Karen Pittman. So love her for it.
Breathtaking in it.
I got to leave it there, but I appreciate your time. You guys are the best. Thank you so much again. Really appreciate it.
Thanks.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks. Happy weekend.
That's been Teri Hart, Rebecca Jennings, and Eli Glasner. My name is Elamin Abdelmahmoud. This show is called Commotion. See you next week.